That was it.
The podcast that changes your mind by listening to inspiring people.
I'm Marion, and I'm bringing you to the Drikung Kagyu Rinchenling monastery in Kathmandu, Nepal. From October to December 2024, over 1,500 monks, nuns and practitioners from all over the world gathered for something extraordinary. His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche shared the Dam Ngak Dzo teachings, the treasure of precious instruction over 1,000 years old. But this is not just about ancient wisdom, this is about modern transformation. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Gyalten Samten, the former model and Bollywood actress who followed her calling to become a Buddhist nun. Let's discover her "that was it" moment. Hello, Samten. And could you tell me who you are, your name, where you come from, your age, what you want to tell me about you?
Namaste, Tashi Tilak. My Dharma name is Gyalten Samten, and my name otherwise is Barkha Madan. Before I became a Buddhist nun, I was an actor, model, a film producer, and my brush with spirituality happened much earlier in life when I was about 10 years old. And I was spending a lot of time with the young monks playing outside the main monastery. And I had this very spontaneous wish to just live there. And I remember expressing that to my mother. Just leave me here, Mom, and you can go. And my mom was like, please don't create a scene here. And I insisted for a few minutes, just let me look around. Everything is so beautiful. I want to live here. And I remember her telling me that only monks can live here. I said, no problem, make me a monk. And then she said, boys become monks. You're not a boy. And I said to her, everything that I want to do, you always say, only boys can do this. Why didn't you make me a boy? It's all your fault. Anyway, a little sort of a childish tantrum. Of course, they didn't take anything seriously. We were back home. But I do remember I tried to get to that monastery many times on my own as a little child, but I was never successful. Many years later, in early 2000, I landed up in Dharamsala, and that's where I met His Holiness Dalai Lama for the first time. And that was the life-turning moment for me. And I remember very clearly, His Holiness in those days would walk from his residence to the teachings room in the monastery. There were many, many new immigrant Tibetans who had come, who wanted to take a blessing from His Holiness. There was a very old lady sitting next to me. And as His Holiness walked in, she reached out to him to touch his feet. And sure enough, the attendants came and brushed her aside. And, she just said, in a most beautiful, devotional way, Kundun. So this word Kundun, His Holiness heard that. He turned around, came down to her, on his knees, lifted this old Amala up, touched his forehead to his. And just that moment, that entire thing was transpiring. I was in tears. This old woman was in tears. And just to get the blessing of the Guru they are so devoted to, And the Guru to understand that, the hardships they have gone through, and just to be there. Much later did I realize the fact that what does the word Kundun really means? It means the presence. So imagine having a presence that lifts up somebody instantaneously, that makes you feel comforted in their presence, that makes them feel loved, warm in just a few moments. And throughout the teaching, I thought I just stayed with that feeling more than actually focusing on what he was saying. Yeah, and that left a very indelible mark on my heart, and it made me come back every year. Of course, after hearing the teaching, especially the teaching on bodhicitta, something was moving very spontaneously in my heart, and I remember being in tears every time he would explain bodhicitta, as if I've heard this before. So I made sure to enroll in a Buddhist philosophy course, and that brought me every year from Mumbai to Dharamsala to study Buddhist philosophy, because unfortunately, back in Mumbai, there were no centers or no sangha, to say so, where I could even share what I had experienced in Dharamsala. So that was my first brush with spirituality, especially with Buddha Dharma.
And then you start to be actress, to be model. You had what kind of normal life, and you had your spiritual life. And how did you do during these many years to have your spiritual life and normal life, classic life?
Yes, because I was studying now more intently the Buddhist philosophy, and then trying to understand how to adapt that in my everyday life. It wasn't easy to begin with. I had some very practical hiccups and challenges, especially when you are coming from a very quiet, when you go to Dharamsala, there is this whole environment is very supportive of your spiritual practice. But when you come into a fast-paced life of Mumbai, and especially a very highly competitive life of being an actor and a model, it's like completely opposite of the two. So I would struggle sometimes to bring that mental peace and those sort of values, and how to use them truly in my own life here. I had initial days of struggling with it. As my practice grew stronger, and then I said, okay, I think I have a way now. I don't have to lead this dualistic life. I'll make my principles, my rules very simple. The moment I enter my house, I'm not the actor. I'm not the model. I drop the paraphernalia right at the door. In fact, my doormat, would say, leave your shoes and your ego here. So I found it very useful. I said, okay, now as I'm going to enter my space, I'm just very simple person. I carry no baggage of being the celebrity or whatever that comes with that life, So that's how I slowly started to make changes. Really, I shifted my living pattern to be very minimalistic. Many a times I hear nowadays people saying, oh, we don't have time, our schedules are so busy to do a whole practice. I said, no, if you have the will, you'll have to make a way. And our lives are not as hard as the Mahasiddha stories that we study about. They traveled so far to get one single teaching. All the masters came from Tibet to India. The arduous journey that they go through, the difficulties they faced, we have nothing in comparison to that. So, coming back, putting it into my practical life, I realized that, well, I can afford a driver. I don't have to drive myself, or I can take a cab to my studios, And from my house to the studio, the drive would be anywhere around 40 minutes to an hour. I said that gives me an hour of doing my practice, to doing my meditation. I would put my earphones on and just read, do something, or meditate, utilize that time. I would use the times in the breaks, as actors, we have long waiting period. Instead of being on social media, I would use this time in reading my text, or doing some simple sort of meditations, and my colleagues were noticing it, and slowly they were like, something is off, something is cuckoo with her. She's not being her usual self. She's not sitting around with us. She's slowly going into her little isolated corner. But that doesn't matter. It's okay. I know why I'm doing it. This helped me build up my practice. It helped me being consistent with my studies. It helped me being sort of consistent in bringing a very, firm change in my lifestyle. Not like I'll try and see how it goes. I said, no, I will build on this. These are my building blocks for my practice. And I remember Venerable Rubina Kotin saying it, that if you have the karma, you will become a nun. But you can also create the causes for it. And to create the causes for doing so are these little changes that you bring in, build it into your lifestyle.
You did it, and then in 2012 you became a nun, and then a few years later you did 3 years retreat alone in Ladakh. So it's a fast way, and now you have long hair. You had short hair because when you became a nun. Now you have long hair like a yogini. It's a fast change.
Yes. Yes, on one hand it is. I remember I was filming for my home production in Canada, and this thing to become a nun was becoming more and more stronger in my heart, and I did not know how to go about it. Fortunately, I met Lama Zopa Rinpoche. I remember going all the way down to Seraji Monastery in south of India, in Mysore, in a settlement nearby Lakupe. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche was giving his teachings there. And I just took a flight down to Bangalore and took an overnight bus, and there I was with my request, the only request I've ever made to Rinpoche. So same evening I went down to Rinpoche's house, properly with the kathak and offerings and things, and then Rinpoche did a mo. It's a divination. You're aware of that? So Rinpoche kept dropping his divination dice, and his eyes was closed for a long time. And then he comes out of his trance and he says, tomorrow, you do ordination tomorrow with His Eminence Choden Rinpoche. It comes out best for you. And this was already 8:30 in the night. And the ceremony was next day, 9 in the morning. So you know how fast it was.
I said, highway.
Absolutely. And then the next morning, that moment, I was just jumping with joy with the fact that he hasn't said no, and I will be ordained. So I say to everyone, if you really believe in a guru, just leave it up to him, and things will happen. It will unfold. Then no looking back. Within half an hour, I'm a nun.
You did 3 years retreat in Ladakh. So you're going to Lama Yuru after a few years being nun. How is it in Lama Yuru? Why did you choose Lama Yuru?
So before I tell you why I chose Lama Yuru, when I started the retreat, His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche had asked me to start retreat in Dehradun. It was COVID, and it was difficult to travel elsewhere. The instructions initially were to go to Lapchi, and impossible to go to Lapchi during the COVID times. International borders are closed. So I came to Dehradun, and under the guidance of Drikung Tenzin Rinpoche, I did non-dros there, hoping that Tenzin Rinpoche, hoping Drikung Rinpoche would say, oh, you've already done your non-dros before, so you don't have to repeat them. But on the contrary, he was like, oh, good, you've done them in Geluk. Now you're starting your 3-year retreat in Drikung Kagyu lineage. Start all over. So I finished the non-dros there. And His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche visited Dehradun after 2 years. For the COVID time, he couldn't visit. I had an audience with him. And very spontaneously, he said to me, go to Lama Yuru and do the rest of your retreat there. You will be doing this for your yidam. You come tomorrow and I will give you the empowerments. And I was like joyful. I was very happy. While I was in my retreat in the Dehradun Samten Nadaring, I was getting a glimpse, a vision, a dream of this place that I had to be at to do my retreat. And I could not understand where this place is. For some moments I thought I could be hallucinating. Maybe I have some lung or some wind disorder, But when His Holiness said, Lama Yuru. And when I got to Lama Yuru, I was like, oh, this is the place I was dreaming of all this while. So there must be some connection. And it's a very, very blessed place. So I'm very, very happy that His Holiness, sent me there. And it has been great, insightful 3 years of living there. It's been amazing.
So from Lama Yuru, you also met Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche, who is a great teacher from Lama Yuru. You met him in Kathmandu. How was the meeting, the first meeting?
Oh, the meeting.
Second one.
I had met Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche. No, sorry. Actually, I had heard of Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche from Khenpo Rangdol. And thanks to Khenpo Rangdol that I had met His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche. And then again thanks to him that I got to meet Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche in person. So when I met him, it was like meeting a very old friend, His energy is so warm, affectionate. He's so humble. And I really felt like, I've known him for such a long time, and meeting him was like meeting of minds, I think. And he also very generously gave me his time and shared his insights of his meditation time. He was in 12 years retreat himself. And I could share some of my experiences with him, which I was not able to do with others, They would either brush it off, but Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche was very kind and very carefully listened to everything I had to share. And he said, no, this is what this means. Don't brush it off. This means something, This is your realization. This is your insight. Good, stay with it. Yes, don't worry about it. Don't worry what people have to say. I even had like a question about cutting my hair. Because, as I ordained in the Gelug tradition, people cut off their hair the moment they are out of retreat. They go back into their shaved heads and everything. So I was in this kind of a confusion. Should I keep, should I not? Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche, very straight way looked into my eyes and I said, I hope you don't. And then I said, why? And he says, I just hope you don't. The same night, I have had a dream of going into a salon and asking someone to wash my hair, and they put some liquid on my hair. And my idea was to go and ask them to buzz my hair off, to shave my head. So they were washing it. In my dream, I see the liquid they put on, each strand of my hair turning into different colors. And I said, I didn't ask you to color my hair. They said, we didn't. And I woke up and I told this dream after 2 days to Khenpo Tashila, and he said, blessing of the Dakini is in your hair. Don't cut it. This is what I said. I hope you don't. Only a realized master can say such things to you, and just bring you out of your confusion. Don't worry about what people have to say about your appearance. You have to know what you are. He says, you are a yogini now. Don't forget that. So all my confusions and my dichotomies have gone out of the window, Okay, Lamaji, Khenpola, I follow what you say.
And you keep your hair.
No, I keep my hair.
Why did you come to this teaching with His Holiness?
Tell me, where else to be but here?
You're right.
His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche is giving these teachings, the 8th chariot of lineage teachings, after 30 years. When next, no one knows. Also, we have to understand all our Rinpoches and His Holiness are showing the aspect of age. They're aging. They might not be able to give these teachings to us again. And who knows, I could be dead tomorrow, So when I heard about these teachings, I was particularly interested in getting the Shangpa Kagyu lineage transmissions. I'm interested in learning the yoga of Niguma. Since I've already done the Naro yogas, the 6 yogas of Naropa, I was interested in learning the yogas of the Niguma. So I'm very, very happy and very blessed to have received them here, especially at Rinchenling Monastery. Also, it's the seat of His Eminence Nyupa Rinpoche. So, yeah. And And imagine that in the Guru's mandala, how we all connect, I connected with Khenpo Rangdol over social media. Khenpo Rangdol very kindly met in person in Phiang, introduced me to His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche. That became a cause for me to do a 3-year retreat under his guidance. And now I meet you, I meet Khenpo Tashi Rinpoche, and so many more other practitioners, I often feel where else to be but in a Guru's mandala when he is giving such grand teachings openly to everybody. So yeah, we all are very blessed. Let's rejoice in that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was